peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Viewers, thank you very much. Welcome to Good Morning Africa, presented to you by Dr. David Matanga from the Political Command Center in Africa. Thank you very much. Across in Kenya, Nairobi, we have the headquarters, and we have in Kenya, we have Sharon Gitonga, our legacy trend analyst from Nairobi County. And again, we have Samuel Tawish Olesisana across in Narok, all the way from Narok, our special editors programs and the special investigative pieces. Also the legacy of trade analyst. Today we are joined by Nicholas Njogu, who will be listening in, watching us from somewhere in the Republic of Kenya. Good morning, viewers across the continent of Africa, from Tripoli, Cairo, Johannesburg, Accra, Congo, Kinshasa, Congo, Brazzaville, Kampala, Uganda, Kigali, Rwanda, Harare, Zimbabwe, and Johannesburg. Your Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta is still continuing with the 3-day official visit in South Africa, looking for more investment for the people of Kenya. Good morning. Across to Addis Ababa, the headquarters of African Union, which are being threatened to be almost come down to ashes. Oh my God, what has happened to our continent, Africa? Good morning, Africa. And a good morning, my panel. Thank you very much. Let's kick starting. The topic of the day is the Bumpy Road map. The Bumpy Road map towards the 2022 elections. That is our main topic. And we shall not waste much time. Let's go to the news headlines. Paper headlines in Kenya. Daily Nation of the Republic of Kenya. Oh my God. You know, Tawish, you should be the one reading this one, not me. Because they will say Matanga, Matanga, Matanga. Welcome to the show, Daniel Wesonga, our investigative journalist of Punchline African TV. How are you, Wesonga? You are still preparing your equipment. Tawish, read us the Daily Nation. You have the headline there. But let me simplify it for you, then you talk about it. It is fresh trouble for Ruto at ICC. The first case failed due to witness interference. Now ICC has evidence that Ruto interfered and they are going to go ahead to prove in court that he did actually interfere with ICC under Article 1, at Article 70. Tawish and the panel, you know I don't like ICC. David Matanga, I hate it. And that is why you see me here, I'm open-minded. I hate the International Criminal Court, period. You can accuse me to Angel Gabriel, fine. But I'll tell the reasons why. So time has come for a man who has been having a chest bump around the town to sit down and think whether that speed is worth it or not. It is up to you, Kenyans. For me, my stand on ICC is clear. But when you have injured all the bridges, you have destroyed all the bridges, you even want to hunt down those who helped you, like me, like what Ruto does. The best is to stand aside and watch. I have no much comment, Tawish. I hand over this matter to you. The Daily Nation, as I read the other headlines, that is its main headline. That is its main headline. It is fresh trouble for Ruto at the International Criminal Court. Oh, you know, when I read this article, Tawish, I don't want to talk about ICC, the way I suffered. From 2005, it is not the Kenyan case I'm talking about. Because some Kenyans think Matanga came to prominence on international stage because of Kenyan cases. No, no, no. I had already smelled the coffee of ICC in my own country, Uganda, in 2005, when the Kenyans were laughing at Ugandans and the Uganda that the criminal court is taking them to the ICC. Little known to them was it could knock on your doors in 2010. 2007, 2008, it knocked on your door. For me, grown up from a humble home of a Christian family, I don't carry any grudge against anybody. My late father told me never to carry grudge, but forgive everybody. But when you look back and see the journey you traveled from all sides, like when you look back and see through the windows of Kenya, you see a legacy of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. You see a road being constructed, yeah. Aha. You see everything coming up, a building coming up, a clinic coming up. Let me keep the legacy trend of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. The ICC, I leave it to Mr. Tawish. The second headline in the papers, the Standard of Kenya, is here. Why Ruto wants CJ Kome out of 2022 polls team. Rubbish. Mr. Ruto, you have a problem now. You have now reached what we call Kudi Disak. Or Kudi Disak. I don't know, Tawish, is it pronounced like that? Because I hate French.
It's pronounced Kudisak.
Kudisak, yes.
Yes.
I hate French. I don't eat frogs. I don't eat frogs. Maybe if I'd eaten frogs, my voice would come back very nice. Let me try one of these days. Do you recommend me to try the cuisine of the French?
No, not at all. Not at all. Don't go that route.
My voice might come back normal, but
it could backfire on you. It could backfire on you.
Do you know that all leaders in Africa who are very powerful talk like me? Do you notice the voice of Nyerere? Doesn't it come closer to Matsanga's voice? Ndugu mapenzi, ndugu wa Tanzania, naomba. You remember the Nyerere? Nkrumah talks exactly like this. Used to talk. Patrice Lumumba, Samora Machel, the only man who talked English. Obote talked with a voice. He mentored me to reach where I am here today. I'm grateful to the late President Dr. Apollo Milton Obote for having taught me discipline, having taught me how to wear a shirt nicely. I woke up in the streets of Havana, of Pyongyang. You know a capital called Pyongyang? What is the capital city of North Korea? My panel should not just sit here and wait for Googling. If I see you, you are now Googling.
That is Pyongyang.
Pyongyang, okay. I don't want to see any Googling at all. You must also learn.
Yes.
Why Ruto wants to see CJ coming out of 22 polls? Rubbish. Mr. Ruto, you have reached a cul-de-sac. You see, when you see a man complaining who was a bragger and bravado, just pumping, pointing fingers that he anguke. Now anaona mbele inakuja mbaya. CJ Gome holds two hearts. Nyenye wa Kenya msome constitution jameni. I saw some lawyers whom I respect here so much in the morning making very serious statements. Which school of law do they go to? This is Nairobi University? I think we must change the curriculum. Magoha, where are you? Look at the faculty of law, change some things. A lawyer is saying the CJ should not be involved. A CJ is a head of the Supreme Court. But the CJ is an administrator of the judiciary. She wears two hats. Where Kenya, Mr. Ruto, you are going to be a president and you don't even know the meaning. How will you handle the instruments of Kenya? Walai, alala. Let me also use your words which you use every day. Alala, alala. Ruto, how can you say the CJ? How can you fail to know that CJ Kome wears two hats? One hat as the head of the Supreme Court that only deals with disputes that are beyond the appeal court. The second part, she's the head of administration, of judiciary. She must seek. The constitution is clear on the functions of the CJ. If she doesn't present her budget to the intergovernmental committee, which is set by the Act of Elections, how will she get the money for us to run? It doesn't matter how many petitions will be there, but you must prepare money for petitions. That's why it is called a proposal. Am I clear again? Can I teach some English here? Gitonga will tell you. Gitonga knows how to make proposals every day for her business. Am I wrong, Gitonga? You make proposals every day. A proposal, how much money would you expect the treasury to give you to run petitions, to run your event PR mechanisms? You make a proposal. The CJ must seek that funding. The CJ does not want to know who is printing the ballot paper where. She only sits in a committee that facilitates a free, smooth, fair, transparent elections. She doesn't know whether there will be a conflict or not. She doesn't know whether there will be many petitions. She doesn't know. She's simply an administrator who has been asked by the government, like the Minister of Internal Security, Mr. Matiang, the Minister of ICT. How will you post your, even if you say Mucheru should leave the committee, but Mucheru can sit in his office and you will not post one election result from Masabit to Nairobi. Whom will you run to? Whom will you blame? He's still a Minister of State for ICT until the term of President Uhuru Kenyatta is over. Mr. Ruto, you are coming in the government, but it looks like you are taking us to the bush. You are thinking like an old stone-aged man. That's why you bring wheelbarrows for people. In fact, Ruto has a mentality of bringing wheelbarrows. His mentality of wheelbarrows has made him not think, yet he has got a PhD. And unfortunately, his PhD is full of plants. He did not study anything to do with humanity. He would have known how human beings operate in functions like that of the CJ. On this one, I stand with CJ Kome. Finish. Let them tell you how much money they will give the court. You go back to your court and keep quiet. You don't need to know the details. You need to know the amount of money. That's what CJ Kome has done. Period. Wakenya mwambiane kwa kweli, save your country. That is here. The last paper, as I leave you people to come across, Jitters Rock Oka over Raila invite to Kalonzo NDC. Tawish, Wesonga, what did I tell you yesterday, Gitonga? Oka, I told you, didn't I tell you? Now you see that I am very good at political analysis. I have to give myself a credit, Jermaine, if Gitonga does not give me.
Yes, Doc, whatever you see while seated, so many people cannot see while on top of Mount Kenya. That one we have to give it to you.
That's why I'm 66 years old without gray hair. I'm an elder in the Omofia clan. Gitonga, why don't you give me credit?
The high voltage operative.
Gitonga, I'm waiting for your comment, madam. Otherwise, I will go on strike.
Yeah, you said it, Doc.
Exactly. Yeah. I told you. There is nowhere Mr. Kalonzo is going. Mr. Kalonzo will finally embarrass everybody and will join Raila Amolo Odinga. Mr. Mudavadi has no feature at all if he doesn't join Raila Amolo Odinga. His goose is cooked in Western. Mr. Wetangula is the most slippery man in that Okoa. Wetangula was Raila's lawyer when Moi wanted to cut Raila's throat. Wetangula will never leave Raila. Mr. Gideon Moi is one of the most humblest people in that group. But he is given instructions and he will obey. Kanu does not want to tarambakisha. What is that Swahili word? To break up the state. Breaking up the state. No. Kanu will always mold the state of Kenya.
Kusambaratisha.
Kusambaratisha. Yes. I'm learning Swahili, which Kitonga does not teach me. You know, teach me a bit of Swahili. Kusambaratisha. Kanu does not want. So Gideon will come to the fold. Who else is left? Gideon, Kalonzo, Wetangula. Jirongo is Raila Party 2. And the Jirongo likes President Uhuru Kenyatta. He admires him. Have you seen Girongo having any more problems with his money issues anywhere, anymore? The other regime used to harass him. 2013, his man, Ruto, used to tell judges to come for him. But Girongo's problems have been solved. He's back to where it is. Martha Karua is part and a parcel of this group. He will not go anywhere. She will not. She will abide. She would rather die with Raila than with Ruto. Because Martha Karua cannot work with anybody who steals funds. Martha Karua cannot work with the mafia. He can't. She can't. Kabogo, the rest of this, the Speaker of National Assembly. He can't go home and tell the children I've disagreed with Kenyatta. Are you believing this, Mr. You, all of you, the panel? Can Muturi go home and tell the children that I don't like Uhuru Kenyatta when you have been a peer of Uhuru Kenyatta? Jamen. Jamen. Muangalie bitu. Siasa ya Kenya, wake up, analyze it the way it is. These guys will rally, whichever the third force you call it. Can I tell you the truth? It will rally behind who? All of the people you see I've mentioned, they hate Ruto. And the Ruto, whether he gets, if he doesn't score 50 plus 1, he is in a very big shit. You know what Americans call it? Shed, man. Shed, man. Are you with me, Daniel Wesonga, this morning? I'm beginning to talk about these things.
Yes, very right.
Yeah. Pick it from there now. Tawish. Let me come back to you, sir. The ICC, don't take too much time. Knock point one. Ba, ba, ba. The ICC Dabako.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ray, and thank you, colleague panelist Sean Wesonga, as well as Sharon Gitonga, and all our viewers watching this program in Kenya, Africa, and the rest of the world. Indeed, Dr. Ray, the issue of ICC is that which you have been discussing for quite some time. And I remember often I've said that we're more like warthogs because we forget so easily. When there were initiatives, when there were approaches really to have Kenya withdraw from the ICC or even the African continent really to withdraw from ICC, we did not heed to those calls. Those initiatives were actually killed at the initial stages, and there was so much excitement that probably we will not like or love to see any Kenyan really being tried at the ICC. But again, how the same excitement fizzled out, I still cannot understand. So what I'm basically saying that the issue of ICC, it's more of a self-inflicted pain, one which we cannot blame anyone for any misfortune that is going to befall any Kenyan for that matter. Because I remember the Moreno Ocampo, the former ICC chief prosecutor, coming out and saying clearly that Kenya was going to serve as the best example in the African continent, if not the world, in as far as international crime cases are concerned. So we didn't quite heed to that particular warning, and we are not off the hook yet. In as much as Deputy President William Ruto's case was really put on a break, we will put it that way, or suspended. We should have really understood that this case had not died completely, because they said in case there will be any fresh evidence that could maybe prompt or necessitate this case to be revived, then the ICC chief prosecutor will be at liberty to use that fresh evidence really to nail the deputy president and his co-accused Joshua Arap Sang. But now, as it is, it's coming out again that the Deputy President William Ruto did interfere with the ICC witness, and we had really warned that Gicheru going to ICC was going to was going to be a very big problem for Deputy President William Ruto, and it has really come to pass. And we just but await to see how he's going to defend himself, because if Gicheru will really admit before the ICC judges that he did bribe the witnesses to drop, or some of them were really killed, and the person who paid him or bribed him really to interfere with the witnesses is Deputy President William Ruto, there's no way he can run away from this case. So Dr. Masanga will quite say that it's a long journey, and Deputy President William Ruto is not off the hook yet. The ICC ghosts are still hovering over his head. It is just a matter of time. Probably ICC will be coming for him. I submit, Dr. Ari.
Thank you very much. I am going to make a detailed submission this evening at 8 o'clock p.m. East African Standard Time. Watch the delivery. That's why I'm not talking this morning. Gitonga. Madam Gitonga, don't miss that 8 o'clock tonight. It has a lot of saliva to swallow. Very nice delivery. Why is ICC hovering over Africa? Why? And I'm going to be one of the most deadly men. Like you saw me yesterday, the damage I did on the question of Eritrea. I tell it as it is. Gitonga.
Thank you very much, Dr. Matanga and my colleague panelists, and a very good morning to all our viewers who are watching us, whether it's their morning, afternoon, or evening. And on the question of, ICC, they say the wheels of justice turn slowly but grind exceedingly fine. So in this case, I tend to see it being quite a very serious matter. And if anything, if I was actually the deputy president or any of his cronies, I'd be so worried on this matter, and I think it's high time we get into a closure of this issue, because people need to actually be held accountable. There's no one who actually deserves to die prematurely or because of to be affiliated with a certain tribe. I personally I didn't choose to be born in my tribe, or anyone did choose to either be born in Kikuyu or whatever kind of tribe, and but I think this is an indictment, and as they say, you are actually innocent until you're proven guilty. So for me, out of this whole scenario, I am foreseeing two scenarios whereby probably if he's actually charged guilty, well, number one, he could actually be, the case would actually work in favor of him, just like it worked, during the, with the president. Or number two, the case could also, work against him, whereby he would actually be charged, with interfering, with the witnesses, just like Tawish had said. And in this case, you realize that he would actually end up being locked up by the Hague, because I don't believe there's a way they could actually allow him to come back to Kenya, owing to the fact that he's actually interfered before with the witnesses. So what happens with his submission of the letters of his presidential candidature? So there's also that aspect. But be as that as all that may, I think it's also high time for us as a country to actually come into terms of this whole issue, and probably, just bring it to a closure. If you actually agree to share and talk about it, and probably give a room for, healing. You've always talked about, a redemption strategy. And I believe, well, they say the past will always leave a shadow, but I think it's high time we just get into a closure, because every time, this issue keeps coming up, continues to hurt us as a nation, and it continues, to leave fresh wounds, especially to the families that were actually affected. When you talk about churches that, people were burnt in churches, properties, there are people that up to date have not been able to actually, have never been able to, meet their loved ones. So I think at the end of the day, I would say the ball, falls squarely at the foot of us as a country. If we actually want to, put this matter to bed, where we agree or just let the case continue. So at the end of the day, I think probably us as a country, the ball falls squarely at the foot of us as a country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The ball lies upon us to lay the ghosts to rest forever. Have we tried it? Again, don't miss my show tonight at 8 p.m. I will answer all your questions and all suggestions that you have said. Wesonga.
Thank you, Dr. Matsanga David. And of course, on ICC, this is a topic that we've been talking for the longest time ever. First and foremost, I would really like to categorically state that at this era and time, we should be having ICC actually dealing with matters related to the 2007-2008 Kenyan ICC cases. Because as far as I'm concerned, if we would have done everything right, then this would have been something that is behind our history. And because Kenyans are not quite keen in handling their matters, and especially those people in the highest offices of the land, they are not quite keen in taking the mandate that they are given by their bosses quite seriously. We still have the ghosts of ICC still haunting the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. The resolution and the expert advice perhaps, and of course in that regard you are among the experts who are talking about the issue of ICC, was that Kenya should pull out of the ICC. And that was even the feeling of most African countries. Why was it that they wanted Kenya and the rest of the African countries to pull out of ICC? Because 80% of the cases that have been prosecuted in ICC are all from Africa, despite the fact that more than 60% of all atrocity human rights violations do not happen in Africa, but either in Asia, in Europe, and even America has been blamed for atrocities against humanity in Afghanistan and other occupied countries in the Middle East. So that means that ICC is a body which has been acting on a biased ground, a body which essentially was formulated perhaps as the African perspective to only prosecute the African leaders and be able to derail the African agenda. And therefore, ICC do not serve any purpose or do not act in the benefit of the African people. So it is a must that Africans should do away with the ICC. And that was the recommendation that you guys gave to the government of Kenya. But what happened? It was cold water was poured onto it and nothing happened after that. Even that came at the backdrop of the president contributing money to set up a special court, African court, to be handling issues of crisis and such matters as the post-election violence that happened in 2007-2008 in Kenya. That money, wherever it went to, I don't know where it went to. I remember the other time you said you even don't understand who ate that money. So that shows you the kind of ineptitude and laxity that we take serious matters with. Another thing, when we talk about ICC, you have been amongst the people who have been very, very categorical about solving the issue of ICC. And even in medicine, whenever you want to treat an ailment, you have actually to diagnose the root cause of the disease. And from the diagnosis that you make and being able to actually illuminate and be able to bring out the root cause of the disease, then you can be able to recommend the measures and remedies to treat that particular disease. And your recommendation, Dr. Matsanga, of which I agree strongly with you, has always been, let us open the WACI report and be able to know whatever contents that are there in, because that forms the basic core of this particular case in ICC. Once we are able to know whatever is in the WACI report, then from there we can be able to start now the journey of healing and reconciliation. But as long as we continue sweeping things under the carpet and pretending that all is good, everything is okay, 207, 208 is passed behind us, and the work report is still closed, then I believe the ghosts of ICC will keep on coming and coming and coming. Who knows? Maybe after 100 years, while we do not open the work report, some government will come into place and open these old wounds and tell Kenyans, see, this is what the content of work reports holds. And that will be akin to opening a can of worms. So why can't we do it as early as now so that we are able to solve this mystery and be able to push it behind our history and focus on uniting Kenyans and forging the future prosperity of this country. So that, Dr. Matsanga, the two will be my recommendations in matters ICC. If we had pulled out of ICC and had a special African court to handle our matters locally, we will not be having this case haunting Deputy President William Ruto. If the people who are responsible on handling the matters ICC would have been prudent enough to open the Waki report, perhaps we would have had some kind of settlement and some kind of a deal in terms of moving forward as a country and healing. But because that has not happened, I believe that issue is going to reoccur over and over again. I submit, Dr. Matsanga.
Thank you very much, Daniel Wesonga. I don't know whether our guest, silent guest, would like to make any comment. Nicholas Njogo, will you continue just to listen or you want to make a comment? You requested.
Yeah, let me make a small comment.
Okay. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, wherever you are watching from. And I think my contribution will be quite brief. Am I audible?
Are you hearing him, studio? Studio, are you picking him quite well?
Am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I think one factor that we have as a common denominator in Kenya is that we can call ourselves a lot of nations. We only focus on what is affecting us. Immediately, in terms of the highlight, it is five below the kilo. This issue of ICC, Dr. Masanga, you cried, you shouted from the mountaintop, you went to ICC side, filed petitions, things. I can remember seeing what you on this channel and even you in the face and wherever, citing you even lack some tea and some people embarrassed you at the face, they didn't want to see you. And now again, it has taken a whole stack of it back at you. And now that it's from the public limelight, again, everyone is now learning, let's form an affect African tribunal to deal with Kenya, to deal with African matters. But the problem is, we forget as soon as anything is out of the TV, out of the camera. And the challenge that we will be having in future is this African Union, which is the biggest threat down to us, that we already have formed a tribunal, a secure tribunal that will be investigating African humanitarian affairs, where there are atrocities and things of the sort. So I think it is a bill that will keep counting us, and the solution will be number one. Let's open up the WASI report and completely, fully, and move it from the site. And then, we start thinking the future of Africa, which is what our leaders in the same way another organization
Yeah, thank you very much. You have made your point. We have had your points. I tried my level best. So don't miss tonight and organize your audible, your microphones, so that tonight you don't miss any word. It's going to be hot. Tonight at 8 p.m. East African Standard Time, I will lay bare, event by event, fact by fact, soil by soil, inch by inch, why ICC is still hovering over Africa. Next, I start with Gitonga. On Kome, Chief Justice Kome, why is Ruto haunting the Meru people? Starting from Kinoti, Kiraitu, Titus Ibui, the governor of Tharaka Nithi, now CJ Kome. Someone is harassing Kananu. Why are they targeting the Meru people? What is wrong? There are certain things that are very wrong. Is someone manipulating Meru people? You come from the main Meru, you are from Tharaka Nithi, but you are Meru. For us, we didn't know Tharaka Nithi. Tharaka Nithi is well known for making the final stand on elections of Kenya. But it seems someone is angry with the mountain of Meru. My good people who speak exactly like me. We all come from mountains. I come from the mountain of Elgon. And their behavior is almost the same as the behavior of Bagisu, where I'm born. Why is somebody in Kenya targeting their elite group? From Governor Kiraitu, my good friend Kinoti, Titus Ibui, my another good friend. Apparently, they are being targeted. Someone is targeting them. Why?
Thank you very much, Dr. Matanga, for that question. They say when the only tool you have is a hammer, you actually begin to see a nail as a problem, as every problem. And in this case, I'm tending to see people and, cronies of the UDA and the Deputy President at large as people who have actually considered, defeat and being quite hypocritical. And, these kind of statements are actually unwarranted. Because you stated very clearly about, the role of the, Chief Justice to actually be the administrator of, to be this, the administrator of the judiciary. And in this case, what she was actually trying to talk about is, budgetary allocation. So I don't find this actually being any point as, conflict of interest, but, just a conspiracy to politicize the judiciary, just like they've just been trying to do. You look at what they were, recently, what they were saying about Matiang'i and, Musheru and, the governors in my county. And you actually understand that election is a process. It is not one day or, a 2-day event. So for us to get, a free, fair and credible election, we have to have all these bodies, working together and putting, concerted effort. And even the judiciary is also involved to, filing petitions and complaints, which are bound to happen each and every, electioneering period. So the judiciary is part and parcel of, the electoral process. And for them, I think they just sit in a committee and in any way, they are not contravening or, jeopardizing elections. And that is the same thing that happened with, with even Matiang'i. And they just, for them, they, and again, it's even if they declare whoever is their favorite candidate, I mean, that is democracy. Everyone has, a freedom to express themselves. At the end of the day, they will also vote. They have a favorite candidate. So for me, from where I sit, I don't see anything, and I'm just seeing a point of people who have actually considered defeat, given that we are in such a high octane and heavy period of politics with heavy rains, heavy political rains, and every person is trying to now, seek for shelter. So the best they could do is actually revise their strategy and, not trying to actually poke, their businesses, trying to poke, businesses, with, different people that are involved in the, electioneering process. This IEBC, I agree it is an independent body, but you can all agree that they cannot be autonomous. They cannot work in isolation. At the end of the day, every stakeholder has to be involved, and that's the only way we are going to get, free, fair, and credible election. So if they want to work in isolation, it's not going to. IEBC has bungled elections before, and this kind of traits of them trying to work in isolation is what has lost confidence even among us, the public. Look at what they did the other day, with the by-elections of Kiagwa. They bungled the election. So they cannot succeed in isolation, even if they're an independent body. They have to agree, for all the stakeholders that play part and parcel of the electoral process to be involved. And after all, if they're not, contravening or, jeopardizing elections in one way or another, it is warranted. For the UDA people, I think now they are actually crossing over the border, and probably we could actually litigate them for having violated the Integrity and Leadership Act as stipulated in Chapter 6 of the Constitution. Why? Because the Deputy President is always never in the office. He's always working. He's always busy, championing and popularizing his newly found marriage. And, the other day I found it quite ridiculous when he was actually called upon, and the best he could say is that he's evaluating and, trying to see the projects that, the Jubilee government is doing. And this kind of politics of deceit, if a whole deputy president could actually stand in front of a national television and lie in broad daylight, what kind of his character is questionable. What kind of a leader is this person being? So let them stop intimidating the CJ, and because at the end of the day, the CJ has a role to play, and each and every stakeholder has a role to play. For them, the best they could actually do is to revise their strategy, because right now, there's not going to be any compromised candidate. And I keep on saying they keep on attacking even the former Prime Minister Raila by calling him a state project. He's, if anything, he's actually, if I play the devil's advocate and call him a state project, he's not seated. He's actually out there and working working each and transversing each and every county, and to sell his manifesto and his ideology and blueprint. So let them revise their strategy, because the ground has shifted, and it has shifted in favor of the former Prime Minister. So they cannot sit down and start attacking each and every minister that comes on board, and or attacking any leader for actually expressing their rights and their freedom of expression. So for them, let them start, revise their strategy. Thank you.
Revise the strategy. They are attacking everybody. They are fixed on the wall. When Napoleon saw the Battle of Waterloo becoming hot, he started slaughtering his sheep. You know what Napoleon did? He started killing the horses. Have you read the Waterloo? Songa, where are you?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Matsanga. I believe in this particular matter, Dr. William Ruto is being very hypocritical. In that, I remember sometime last year, he told us that he doesn't care even who becomes IBC chair. And he said in his own words, even if they're going to give Dr. Buro Dinga to be the IBC chair, he'll still defeat the candidate that will come from the other side of the political divide. And I don't know what has informed his recent penchant for attacking anyone from government, and more so people from the county of Meru. He has been attacking Governor Kiraitu Murungi. He has been attacking the DCI boss Kinoti. He has been attacking the Mount Kenya Foundation leader Titus Ibui. He has been attacking CS Peter Munya, and even alleging that he was among the people who were plotting to assassinate him. He's been attacking Lady Justice Martha Koome. And I think the Deputy President is going berserk. He should be in a position to handle maybe those ripples of fear of losing quite effectively as a man. I believe whatever he's manifesting right now is developing cold feet, and I believe he should not continue in that particular path, because it will lead to self-destruction. because Justice Martha Koome does not just sit in that particular committee as a stranger. It is within her mandate to be with those particular individuals to ensure that they bring forth a very free and fair presidential election. It is not just a matter of having a peaceful and a passive election. And that is the same thing that CS Joe Misheru is doing in that particular panel of government agencies. So I believe the deputy president should not be attacking anyone who is perceived to be doing their job. We've seen also his allies also demanding that CS Fred Matiang'i and the PS Karanja Kipicho also get out of that particular committee. Who do they want to run the election? Do they just want Wafula Chebukati, who has already been seen to be actually tilting towards their end, to handle the election with Oscar Sudi? So to me, I think it's a bit unnecessary that the deputy president is complaining about everything and anything. So those could actually be signs that he's actually accepting defeat, albeit in a disgruntled way. But that is not the way to handle things. I believe he can do things in an amicable way without going to rallies and insulting leaders, insulting people who have been given mandate by the government of his boss, President Uhuru Kenyatta, to work and ensure that they deliver peaceful, free, fair, and credible elections. I submit, Dr. Masanga.
Thank you very much. There is one point that I want to make here, and I make it very categorical, that you cannot run an election. And that brings me to our topic, and I want Tawish to open it up. A Bumpy road map towards 2022. Tawish, every morning, starting from next week, with the rest of the panel, you will be bringing the Bumpy road map. You see, now we have started the word. Some television station somewhere in Kenya is going to copy and paste Bumpy road map towards 2022. I tell you what, I don't know whether I'm a prophet. I don't know. I asked my mother how she produced me on that day at 3:30 in the dispensary in 1955. I was born. I weighed about 10 kilos, 10 pounds. Isn't that heavy, Wesonga?
That's too much.
Very heavy, Dr. Watsanga. But of course, that also comes in equal measure with your personality.
Yes. 10 kilos, 10 pounds. My mom looked at me, and this is what she has told me. She's still alive. You can go and ask her. She said, "Oh my God, they have brought this. This is going to be a heavy banana on earth." Because 10 pounds is a heavy banana. I dropped out of my mom's womb 10 pounds. And one of the things that I touch, they don't go wrong. Let me tell you why. And Tawish, wacha, toa shati, fanya shati namna hii, fanya namna hii, tupigane kwa hii. Nilikuambia, I told you Kenyans, I've been begging you Kenyans, I'm not a Kenyan, I'm a foreigner, that if Chebukati touches your vote in 2022, prepare me with new suits to arrive in The Hague. Unanisikia? Unanisikia leo wa Kenya? I told you, the worst person in this country who should not touch your vote is Wafula Chebukati. Let him leave. Let the parliament not dissolve without removing Wafula Chebukati. If I am wrong, Then my mother produced me 4 kilos. Produced me when I was only 4 pounds. By then there were no kilos, they were measuring in pounds. I came out of my mother's womb with 10 pounds. Wah! Everybody said wah. Umesikia, everybody say wah. Whoever came to the hospital say wah. Wah. Tawish wah. Everybody say yeah, this boy is big. I don't tell lies. I tell the truth. Whether Zimbabwe, whether what, you don't mess me up. I've been constant. I stood by Mugabe and I warned Professor Jonathan Moyo that you will go badly. Is he not hungering himself also here? With shoes getting holes through. Where is he? He punished me. Don't ever punish a man who has nothing against you. I've told you Kenyans, Chebukati should never touch your vote. I don't know where the government is listening. This man is going to bring disaster. It is not Ruto complaining against Martha Koome. It is Chebukati complaining. Can I use the Uganda English? Allow me, Wesonga, to use your friend's English. It is complaining for me. You see, these other things are very minor. And for us, we have no problem with such people. We remove them immediately. Eh? So, if it was President Museveni, he would remove immediately. Because this chairman of the Electoral Commission is not with you. I'm telling you. But unfortunately here, I am the only voice who thinks the same way. But if I were the government of Republic of Kenya and I'm in the seat of the president, I will guide this country through an election where Chebukati does not touch the ballot and account the ballots of Kenyans in 2022. If I'm wrong, I pray to Jesus Christ to forgive me and ask God to forgive me and ask God to keep my children to listen to this message that I once predicted, that there will be a mess, which God forbid I don't want. But Chebukati is simply telling United Democratic Alliance of Ruto to just make it difficult for other stakeholders to know his plans of rigging this election towards Ruto. That's it. Sindio mtu who was born with 10 kilos anazungumza ya haki. Ewe Songa, don't you want me to say the truth? Tawish. Sindio megonga hapo.
We must speak the truth.
Noma, nagonga noma. Wacha mimi na mimi nizungumze kiluga. There is a problem here. And the Chebukati is the problem. You are watching him. The other day he writes a letter, a vague letter, very vague. I don't know whether Nairobi University Faculty of Law is still teaching lawyers or teaching people who are just picking certificates. He wrote a letter warning political parties. You have the act in your hands. You have seen people running around the world, the country, tearing the country apart. You have not declared the football match to start, and some people are already playing football match. What do you do? As the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, you come out to stipulate the law, write it, sing it, seal it, pap. and you give it to the person who is saying, I am the flag bearer. I am the flag bearer. You get my point? Ruto is the only candidate so far who has said, I am going for presidency in 2022. Raila has not said. So you can't blame Raila. Raila is doing a consultation around. He hasn't said. Has Raila told you that the rallies that he attends are rallies of politics? No. He has to meet people over his BBI, is allowed. But Ruto meets people and said, I want your vote. I want you to carry a wheelbarrow on your heads. As I come to Kericho, carry wheelbarrow. As I come to Narok, Tawish, Kirigoris, carry wheelbarrow. Huh? He's the man who has violated the law. And that is the man the law should catch. And the chairman of the Electoral Commission writes a letter that is more or less of a primary school composition, telling us nothing. I'm sorry. If these are the students that PLO Lumumba was trying to teach at the Law Development Center, then I can begin to query some of these guys. The law is very clear. That's why they allow 6 months election, campaign period, nomination timetable, recruitment timetable. They allow the money. Ruto is paying people to go and attend the rally. And you tell me, attend which rally? Participation, nobody attends participation. People just come willingly without payment. Is he not violating the law? He is. Carry him, man. Get the guy. Don't tell us stories. Shika watu. Tawish, as you close this down, and then we move to the diplomatic leaks.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Ari. And
parting shots.
Sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Ari, and of course, colleague panelists for the submissions you've made on this particular topic. Indeed, Dr. Ari, I think the Tanga Brigade, and led by its leader, Deputy President William Ruto, are already smelling imminent defeat as far as 2022 general election is concerned. And that is why you see they are throwing all manner of excuses. To a point now, they are perpetuating a false narrative and trying to create public disaffection towards public servants, especially those who are actually involved in the preparation of the 2022 general election. I cannot understand why Deputy President William Ruto is at pains with the involvement of CS for Interior, Dr. Matiang'i, CS for ICT, that is Joe Misheru, the involvement of Eugene Omalo, the Minister for Defense, as well as, of course, the judiciary that is being represented in that particular election task force by its, of course, leader, or the Supreme Court President, that is Martha Koome. It is very, very unfortunate because, Dr. Masanga, we all understand where we've come from. We know what 2022 general election means for this country, and not necessarily to players, those who are going to participate as maybe, say, contenders in the coming election. But most importantly, it is a critical election in the sense that we're having a transition. It's going to be a make or break for this country, depending on how we are going to vote and depending on how this election is going to be managed. And that is why it's very important and essential for those for the CSs whose ministries are actually in one way or another really are very critical in making sure that this election is going to be free, fair, and peaceful and credible. because Dr. Masanga, if you're to look at it this way, for this election, say for example, the internet connectivity around the country, there has to be involvement of the ICT minister. When you talk about the security, because the IEBC and even the politicians who are running around cannot be able to campaign, cannot be able to really have their supporters go and cast their ballot without, of course, a necessary and adequate security being deployed. And that is why the Ministry of Interior comes in handy. You cannot rule out the involvement of the judiciary, and in particular, the Supreme Court judge and the president, that's Martha Koome, because in most instances, we've seen even in the past that most elections results that are contested are taken really to the courts to be adjudicated and decided upon. And therefore, that is why Martha Koome's involvement cannot be wished away. It is very, very important that she is part of this stakeholders task force to ensure that the preparedness towards 2022 general election is adequate enough, and nothing is going to be taken by granted, or it's going to be taken by chance, so that Kenyans can be very sure and optimistic this election is one which is going to reflect truly the will of the people on the ballot. So I see Dr. William Ruto as a man who has already smelt defeat, as a man who now is looking for excuses. And this is very, very dangerous at a time when we are getting into this election, because again, this narrative that they are perpetuating now is likely going to trickle down and is going to be taken by their supporters. People will make a foregone conclusion that already this election is rigged in favor of a particular candidate. And therefore will be setting up this country for chaos or a disaster, if you may. If, for example, the supporters of Deputy President William Ruto, and assuming that he doesn't win this election, because I do not see chances or a possibility of him winning this election, he must be able really to accept defeat, just like he has been rallying the crusade and urging other presidential contenders really to be ready to accept the verdict of the people come the 2022 general election. So he has to go out there. He's always been saying he has the people and he has God. I do not know what really is befalling him. I remember my brother Sean Wesonga saying that even previously, Deputy President William Ruto said he doesn't quite care if whoever is going to be the referee of this election, even if it means having Dr. Buru Odinga, the brother of Raila Amolo Odinga, being the referee of this election, he will still defeat any of the candidates, be it one fronted by the deep state in court, as he usually puts it. And I don't know what is happening with him. He's now inciting even his brigade and inciting the people of Kenya to have that disaffection towards this public servant. It's unfortunate, and I think he's just chewing his own words. I remember even in the run-up to 2017 general election, there were misgivings and reservations raised on some public servants, and which was unfounded. Especially it was being done by NASA, I remember, when they were accusing and indicting CS for Interior, that is Fred Matiang'i, for his involvement in the preparation towards the general election. So I ask myself today, does Deputy President William Ruto want Wafula Chebukati to be left alone to carry out such a critical election? Is it the first time that we are having these partners or stakeholders coming on board to make sure that we have adequately prepared for this election? This is not something that is new, but why does William Ruto find it so weird that there's involvement of these other stakeholders in preparedness to this election? I think this is more of a man who has sensed defeat already and is just but looking for excuses not to accept the outcome of that particular election. Therefore, Dr. Masanga, as you have rightly said, there's a bumpy road towards 2022 general election. Even our preparedness in terms of having IEBC in place at least 2 years before general election, all those calls and appeals that we have always been making, and so many people have been questioning the Kriegler recommendation that if you need really to have a credible election, that which is not going to be contested, that which is going to reflect the will of the people, then you should have IEBC in place at least 2 years to a general election. We have just had the other commissioners joining, patching up with Chebukati, a man who bungled the 2017 general election. We have not yet forgotten about that. They couldn't do anything, Dr. Ari. And I think we are really a very funny state or a continent, if I may put it that way, because we cannot be comfortable sitting and waiting Chebukati to oversee the 2022 general election when it is not lost to us and even the international observers that Chebukati is the one who bungled the 2017 general election, one which saw the election of re-election of President Uhuru Kenyatta being overturned, becoming the first in the African continent and perhaps the third in the entire world, Dr. Masanga. That election or the re-election of a sitting or an incumbent president being overturned in a court of law. It is very unfortunate, and nobody is discussing about that. We are just talking about populist politics. We are talking how we are inciting the people. We are not really keen on making sure that this election, we have a credible and a competent referee who is going to oversee this election. That is why the CS Musheru, the CS, of course, Matiang'i and others are not taking anything for granted. They're not taking any chances by making sure that they're going to work hand in hand with Wafula Chebukati to make sure that there's not going to be any window, there's not going to be any leverage for him to be compromised by anybody. And already you can hear those murmurs coming from those quarters. It does point that these are people who perhaps had the intention, or they had the intention to compromise the credibility of the coming general election. So I submit, Dr. Ari, that CS Musheru, CS Matiang'i and others are rightly in place, and they should continue doing their job so that Kenyans can be guaranteed of a free, fair, peaceful, and credible election come 2022. I submit, Dr. Ari.
Thank you very much, Tawish. Thank you very much, listeners. I don't know whether Nicholas Njugu has something, Jogu, but I don't know. If you don't have anything, I have just received the information from somebody watching us and sent me on the private video, in a private SMS, saying that the brother of Chebukati is a business partner of William Samoei Ruto. So I'll leave it to that. I will not name any names. So it is up to, it's a business partner. So how do you expect? I think we are in a very bad situation. It winds up our show, Good Morning Africa. We have been here from 10 o'clock up to 11:30. Now we sit back and watch diplomatic leaks. A repeat of yesterday, which went viral across the planet of Earth on the question of Ethiopia. Watch, sit, relax, get a pen. You learn quite a lot. Pros and cons, solutions to the conflict of Ethiopia. Sit and watch diplomatic leaks. Coming up next, for us, our job tonight, at exactly 8 o'clock, I will bring you the most sizzling, like this. You know, when you grow old, the words disappear. So you need the younger generation like Gitonga. You can't blame Mugabe for having gone for the younger generation. Songa, so that you are taught that don't go this way, don't go this way. Thank you very much, Nicholas Njogu. Thank you very much for listening. My friend Abraham Mutai said he would be on this show, but I don't see him. Why do you again lie to me all the time, boss? Thank you, Ole Sesana Tawish. Thank you, Veredenia. Thank you, Sharon Gitonga. Thank you, the studios back in Nairobi, the Republic of Kenya. Asante sana Stephen na grupu yako yote. Mungu awalinde mpaka tukutane tena usiku leo. Asante sana wafundi wa mitambo. Am I getting the Swahili correct?
Yes, Doc.
Kitonga, you are not on a serious. You are not teaching me this Swahili.
I know, Doc, you've been in Tanzania.
Yes, lakini utaki kuongeza Kiswahili ingine. Madam Sharon Kitonga, utaki kunifundisha Kiswahili?
Umeiva kwa Kiswahili. Umeiva.
Kama utaki, sema wazi watu wajue.
Umeiva.
Mtu mgeni anapata mtu anamkaribisha. Lakini kama sina na mtu ananikaribisha, la, nisemeji jameni? Niseme nini? Nifanye nini?
My watch is so on the with that Fijian activist, and it was excellent. He really articulated the issue the right way.
Okay, thank you very much, Nicholas. Sharon Gitonga, thank you very much. God bless you. All of you. Nilikuwa nasema Kiswahili. Utaki kunifundisha Kiswahili. Watu wananichekelea hapa kwa Kiswahili yangu.
Kwa sawa hiyo.